And I ain't complaining. This is what I chose to do. You know what I'm saying? I chose a wife who had a job at the moment, and I was like, you know what? I don't want you to have to work. My wife has Graves' disease. Let that be clear.
Shout out to all the husbands out there hustling, grinding, and carrying the weight of providing for their family. Some wives don't realize the shoulder to the grind mentality that drives their man, their husband. This is love in action. But here's the thing. As admirable as this is, what you just saw, working 7 days a week isn't healthy or sustainable, is it? It keeps the bills paid, yes, but it also pulls him, I mean, your husband, away from being present, especially as a dad. I know firsthand my own dad hustled something similar, not as extreme as you'll see as this video progresses, but my dad was someone similar. I respected his work ethic. I also felt the void of not having him fully engaged at home and being able to participate in some things that we as kids were doing. I know for me, playing soccer and not having him even attend one of my games because he was busy hustling and again I get it. I appreciated it because he provided for us, but it could not fill that void that was created because he was not there. And sometimes, I think maybe it was a good thing because he always had chores waiting for us. And sometimes him not being there, it's like, okay, we can now relax and not feel so anxious asking about what next he had for us. But seriously, too many dads miss the chance to give their children what only they can as a father do, right? They can only be the one that creates a father's presence. They're the only ones that can discipline a certain way that moms, sad to say, are not able to. And please, this is not a slight on any mom out there who's doing her best. It's not what this is about, but it's just what it is. And he's not able to give this affirmation. How many people I've worked with as a licensed marriage and family therapist who would say that they're still looking, especially girls, looking for dad's affirmation, validation, and you can see still in their lives as an adult, they're looking for that. So, as much as I applaud this brother's, dedication and work ethic, there needs to be a balance, right? Now, if this is your first time here watching this video, I'm Kingsley Grant. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, a certified relationship coach, and a Christ follower. I've worked with thousands of spouses, many like you, over the last 2 decades. And I've seen it over and over again when a wife who respects her husband, it lights a fire in him to work harder, protect stronger, and love deeper. And I get it, many times she may not realize that's what it takes and she misses it. But I do also understand that the goal is balance, right? Not burnout. And sometimes that's where we, as husband, like your husband, who is a high achiever or an entrepreneurial type, sometimes we get things out of whack. And you can help pull us back the right way. So if you really, as a wife, want to do marriage God's way without feeling like you're the only one trying, I want you to do a couple of things real quickly before I get into more of this video. I want you to, if you've not yet subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel even right now. And if you like something that you're hearing, hit that thumbs up button as well. Okay? I would really appreciate that. Now, I also want to mention that I have a gift for you that comes along with signing up on a wait list that will get you into my upcoming Joyful Marriage Quest. a 6 week biblical and evidence based coaching journey. But when you do that, you'll also get a booklet. My new booklet is called Reconnect, a quick guide for wives who feel like they're doing it all. Okay. And here's also one more last piece before we continue, and that is I get you also an invitation to my upcoming webinar, right? How to reconnect with your husband without feeling like you're the only one trying. So if that sounds good to you, the link is buildyourhappiermarriage.com/waitlist, and the link will be also in the comment section, the description below. Now, this brother took his hustle a step further, right? And he did the unthinkable. So what's that? Well, let's watch and let me know in the comments your thoughts on what he said and what he did. I'll share mine, but I would also like to hear yours as well. Let's watch.
I don't want to have to work. So I was like, look, I will pay you what you was getting at your job. I pay you that every Friday if you just stay home, take care of the house. And she take real good care of the house. I keep up my part. I clock in, I clock in, I clock in, and I clock in. I go get that bread and I make sure that we are always straight.
What's your thoughts? That sounds so caring, right? And loving. And it probably is. But here's where we need to pause, right? And that's not how God designed marriage, is it? We don't pay our spouse. Did you catch that piece? We don't pay our spouse. We share everything. Marriage is a covenant, not a contract. Unfortunately, I've seen so many couples who seem to have a contract rather than a marriage. You do this, I'll do that. You cover this, I cover that. It's almost like you're entering in this transactional marriage where you are deciding, where is this idea of us and we and ours? Where did that go? I can tell you that's a recipe many times for disaster. Because when you get into this mine and yours, my account, my car, your car, that is pushing away from this idea of becoming one. And the Bible says, when you get married, the two shall become one flesh. This is a oneness that many times is not there. So when he says, you know, I pay you. Now I understand. And I understand his heart because, like he said, his wife has Graves' disease, and he want her to really be healthy and live a very long time. But there's other ways to say that, right? You don't say, I pay you. No. If you choose to stay home, right? Again, if you choose to stay home, I would strongly suggest that that's what it should sound like. And if you so choose, don't worry, I'll cover everything. You don't have to worry. I make sure our finances are okay, and you don't have to worry about that. That's a different tone, isn't it? Ephesians 5, verse 25 says, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and he gave himself for it, right? So what Jesus did, he sacrificed, right? He gave himself as a sacrifice. So that love, as we just saw and heard, isn't what Christ did, right? This is more transactional. And again, I don't want to seem like I'm knocking this brother, because I really love his heart and his spirit. I love his attitude, but I want to make sure that we keep things in balance, right? So Christ's love is a sacrificial love. That is what husbands ought to do for their wives. Having said that, he now drops some truth bombs, which husbands need to take heed, but at the same time overlooks a very important aspect of his role. And I kind of alluded to that, but let's see what maybe if you can catch what is missing here. Let's watch.
The truth about being 100% financial provider. I work a full-time job. You know what I'm saying? 223. So it's 2 on, 2 off type shit. I work half the month. I have absolutely no days off. So the days that I do go to work, I clock in at the battery plant, 12-hour shifts, then I come the hell home.
Hmm. Now, what this brother is basically saying, he's fulfilling Genesis chapter 3, verse 19 in real time, right? In real life. The Bible says, by the sweat of your brow, you will eat bread or eat your food, right? The perspiration, the sweat of your brow. Men are wired. And this is what sometimes I believe is missing and is misunderstood. Men are wired to provide. I was speaking to a client recently, and they were asking the idea about masculinity. And they grew up, as a male, grew up where this is a missing component. And I said to him, um, here's a general rule of thumb. Men provides and protects. Women nurture. That's a general rule. Now there are exceptions, and I'm sure there's you could probably take me to task on that, but that's what's generally happened. So men are wired to provide. God wired us that way. But when that drive turns into nonstop work, something is off. It's off because even God says, 6 days you shall labor, and on the seventh day you shall rest. God Himself, in creation, He worked 6 days in creating and He rested on the seventh day. Not that God needed rest, but it's a model for us. A model for us when He tells us work six and off one, 7 days. It's a recipe for disaster and burnout and also fatigue and leads to a shortness of emotions, right? Where people tend to go really like because they're so fatigued, things happen and they say things that they never meant to because again, you're tired. So that drive when it turns into non-stop work, something is off. It's admirable, yes, but it shifts the bulk of parenting now to the wife, right? And kids miss the dad's voice that they desperately need. And I want you to catch that because sometimes this is a part that dads may not understand. And I know firsthand. I remember in my early age stage of our marriage, I've been married for 40 years. 1985, we got married. Two adult children now today. But I remember in the early ages, I stages of our relationship, I would be gone so often and I worked and gone and I missed out on some very critical moments of our own children's early life. And I look back and I regret those moments. I did it for good. I did it in my heart was for the family and of course serving God and all of those things. But I missed some very important aspects. Thank God that my children did not hold it against me. And we have a great relationship today as adults. You can, if you see them, ask them, and no pride in you'll see what they'll say. Great relationship. And so I thank God they did not hold that like some children that I work with who have held it against their parents. And I get it sometimes. I get it where that may come from. But I thank God for His grace and His mercy where my kids did not hold it against me. And thank God I did not and have not. In the early stages, I did. But as I got older, I don't hold this against my dad who is now deceased. My mom is also, but I don't, I've forgiven him. I've forgiven him because I know he did the best he could or tried to do the best he could. Like this guy. I mean, who would ever in any way take this away from him? He's doing the best he can to work real hard, but things have to be also in balance because he's not there to be able to give his son, if he has a boy, I don't know, if his son needs a masculine aspect, masculine teaching, mom can't do that. I'm sorry. I don't mind. I mean, I admire moms, but moms can't be both be dads. When sometimes I hear, oh, on Father's Day, I'm gonna give my mom and say to her, Happy Father's Day. Come on, come on. I get it, but you cannot. She cannot be dad, no matter how hard she tries, because masculinity begets masculinity. A mom can do a lot, but she can't replace a father's role in shaping a son or a daughter. Both need that masculinity piece, especially sons. Daughters need it as well. Mom can't give that. I cannot tell you how many women I've worked with who have asked about, looking for validation from a partner. They're going from one relationship to another relationship, seeking to be validated and affirmed. What they're looking for is that is love, that is affirmation, that is validation. And so when he's so busy working, this part is left undone, and mom is trying her best to hold things together and do the part that she can't do, but she's trying her hardest. So this brother's work ethic is out of this world, as you can imagine. Not very often do you find a man willing to do whatever it takes. I mean, I get tired just listening to his how he, I mean, this dude, I mean, man, let's watch and see how his work ethic, what it leads, what it means for him. Let's watch this together.
I got up early this morning. I went and did Amazon Flex. I came home. I took a shower, put on some clothes, took my family out to the water park, Emerald Point. We spent a couple of hours out there, left at Emerald Point, came home again, changed clothes, went to a Chinese restaurant, did a buffet there, came home again. I took a little nap, and I'm doing Amazon Flex again.
This brother is relentless, wouldn't you say? And in many ways, inspiring. I can tell you, I mean, it inspires me. I mean, I feel tired, as I said, listening to his day, what he achieves and accomplishes in maybe half a day. Some people haven't, I mean, don't even accomplish in a full day. I mean, he's given his best for his family. But notice something, his time with his family is squeezed in between his hustles, right? That's not balance. That's survival mode. That is almost a rigid, it got to be done between this time because I got to go here. Where is time for the unexpected, for the spontaneity? Just do something that's not planned, spontaneous. There's no time for that. And God forbid something should ever happen in those moments. First Timothy 5, verse 8 says, anyone who does not provide for their relatives has denied the faith. So provision, though, is more than dollars. And this brother is trying to do his best to provide for his family. And again, I don't know his faith background, and that's not important here. But provision, he's fulfilling the idea of providing for his family. But it's more than just dollars, isn't it? I mean, my dad provided and made sure we had things, but now something was missing, right? It's presence. It's sitting at the table. It's laughing with your kids and playing with your kids. It's for a dad and a boy to wrestle on the ground and play and pick the kid up, and sometimes the daughter as well. It's those heart-to-heart moments that only dad can give that makes a difference. Again, mom, she can do her best, but it's really not as easy about that what dad can do. But I really like the fact, though, that all his agenda, his motive is wrapped up in this one idea. He now tells us what's behind it, the driving force, and he wants to leave us with why he does what he does. We have a good idea so far, but let you hear him speak about what it means about being a 100% provider. He sees himself as such, a provider, and by golly, he's going to do his best, even if he has to do so dying. Let's hear what he has to say.
That's the truth about being a 100% provider. You know what I'm talking about? It's always go time. Either you dig on doing for your family, you at your real job, or you at some other type of side hustle. In between, you might get to take a nap.
So here's what I want to kind of think about or tease out. What possibly could be driving this brother other than his work ethic? What's possibly behind why he get up early and go to bed so late? What possibly behind this dude doing 12-hour shifts and all the different jobs he does? Here's my thinking, and here's a reality that probably you don't see on the surface, but maybe could it be that his wife has honored him, respected him, made sure he is seen as the head of the household? Could it be that that's behind it? I think that there's a part of that as many times people overlook and do not see the significance of that because without respect, A man might still provide, but he's an autopilot. He's just doing it and going through the motion. I cannot tell you how many men have said to me they feel like all they're there for is just to bring in the check. They're not acknowledged. They feel invisible because again, they're an autopilot. They don't feel like they're connected and with a family as what's happening. So when a man doesn't have the respect, which is fuel to his fire, which is his way of receiving love, his heart isn't in it, right? And that's why Ephesians 5, verse 33 says, the wife must respect her husband. It's not just the idea of like, well, he needs to earn respect. No, no, no. He is wired. It's almost like saying, I'm not going to put fuel in my car. It has to prove. Come on. The car needs a fuel for it to take you where you want to go. I don't care what you do. You put the fuel in, the car will take you and then give you a nice ride. So it is with your husband. He needs that. It's his fuel to his fire, like the fuel to the engine. That's what it is for him. And respect isn't weakness, it's strength. It calls out the best in him. And that's what you're doing, dear wife, when you are able to show that to your husband. I can tell you that this woman, and I've seen a few of his videos, she admires and lauds her attention on him and respect him. I can tell and honors him. Is it any wonder he's able to do, he's willing to do the things he does? And when respect flows from wife to husband, and love flows back, the whole family wins. The whole family wins. So, dear wife, your respect can light a fire under your husband. But remember, balance matters, right? His hustle should never cost him his presence at home, and you do not have, well, I was going to say you do not have to put up with that, but let me reframe that this way: his hustle should never cost him his presence at home, and you do have the influence to make sure it doesn't. Remember, according to Proverbs 14 verse 1, the wise woman or wife builds her house, but the foolish one tears it down with her own hands. You are the neck that turns the head, so turn it carefully and gently, but firmly. Use charm, use wisdom and prayer, and impact or influence your husband in the ways that we have talked about so that he can be present with you as well. Now, what you've heard me and the direction you've heard me go today is simply what I do, and we'll be talking about in the Joyful Marriage Quest. It's just a small portion of that. And so, again, I want to encourage you to join the wait list, right? And when you do join the wait list, remember I have a free booklet for you, Reconnect, a quick guide for wives who feel like they're doing it all. And you'll also be invited to my upcoming webinar, How to Reconnect with Your Husband Without Feeling Like You're the Only One Trying. So I want to leave you with a question. I'd love to hear your comments below about your thoughts on this question and any other thoughts you may have. Let's have a conversation. Here's a question. Do you think men should rise to the occasion first, or do wives need to lead with respect first? Which comes first, right? I would love to hear your thoughts. You heard some of mine. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. So let's talk about it in the conversation we have just started. And so I want to also encourage you to, if you've not yet subscribed, now's a great time to hit that subscribe button, the like button. And I also want to encourage you to watch this video right here that's coming up right here. Watch this video right here and share this one with at least one other person like yourself. Because this video, as well as this one, hopefully, is helping you to build a joyful, Christ-centered, love-sustained, peaceful, joyful marriage, and all the above. That's what this is all about. So thank you for taking the time to watch. May God bless you, and I'll see you on the next video. God bless. Peace out.